Ladies and gentlemen, this is your You, Me, and BTC podcast brought to you by the greatest guys on the planet right here. Thanks for joining us. We got a ton of fun to get to today. Kind of fun, not really, I don't know. But all kinds of stuff. A mining ban in the US. Holy crap, a Bitcoin mining ban. Facebook crap, they're screwing with your data again, obviously. That'll be fun, but they've been getting quite the firestorm. And more. Geez, I wish we didn't have to, but we're also going to talk about kiddie porn, so there's that.
I thought that was part of the more. There is
Well,
more
yeah,
after that?
No, I said more, and then I explained a little bit about what more is. Geez, calm down.
Okay.
I am Daniel Brown, and I'm here with
Tim Baker.
And Zach Bull.
Thanks for joining me, kids. We're going to have a fun time today. If you are not already there, the place to be tonight is you, me, and btc.com/live. I'll kick on my screen share so you know exactly what you're about to get there. You got the video. You got the chat. Some douche named Tim Baker in the chat. What a loser, but whatever. So be it. You got the show notes. A little long today. Had fun writing them. Links to the stories we're going to cover and our poll at the bottom. So give it to me, guys. When did you guys delete Facebook? Hashtag delete Facebook. I don't know if the answer is yes, but those are the only possible answers in my poll. What you guys got? Did you ever get rid of Facebook?
What's the most popular one?
We have 7 votes. I'll go check the results. You're a little quiet.
Like about a year ago,
is he quiet for you too, Tim?
Huh?
No, he's good for me.
All right, I'll boost my volume then.
Am I quiet?
Maybe it's my volume. You're good.
Can you hear me now?
Gotcha.
Okay. I deleted my Facebook. Well, I deleted everything, like, I guess about a year ago, and then made a brand new one. But they probably still have all my data from the old Facebook. I just don't really use it a whole lot. Like, I post funny things about, and we lost Tim. I post funny things about Bitcoin and memes and that sort of stuff, because I try and keep my Twitter only about Bitcoin. So anything else that pops in my head, I dump on Facebook. But I don't really upload any pictures or do anything on it. So it might as well be deleted. Maybe I have like a dozen pictures on there, but not more than that.
The most popular answer is indeed years ago, which is good. I'm proud of people. I wish I've never completely deleted it. I just don't really use it. I mean, I uninstalled the app on my phone and I check it maybe once a month. It's funny because I work with a bunch of people that use Facebook and they're always asking me, like, did you see that message or that post? Absolutely not. But whatever. So yeah, guys, that's the place to vote and read the show notes and click some links and whatever else you want to do. All of that is you, me, and btc.com/live. Make sure you make use of the chat because we'll be checking that periodically and reading any questions, comments, or input from the peanut gallery. But we will kick off the show once I can figure out how to turn off my screen share. We're going to kick it off with this story about, well, geez, maybe I need my screen share again to share the story, but screw it. We're going to kick off with this story about the Bitcoin mining ban, which actually just kicked in almost exactly a week ago. So that's why we didn't get to it last week, because it happened right after last week's show. Have you guys followed any of this at all?
Like the one city that banned Bitcoin mining?
Yep, Plattsburgh, New York, to place an 18-month moratorium on new commercial cryptocurrency mines in the city on Thursday. This is from motherboard.vice.com.
Yeah.
Written by Daniel Oberhaus. So, I don't know. What have you guys seen about it? I'm assuming outrage. Any thoughts?
I guess, I don't know. I don't like, when I first read the story, I looked up the city and maybe 10,000 people live there. I don't know if they're just trying to be like, haha, look at us, we can ban it and you can't do anything about it. Like, it would be a big deal if like San Francisco, or I mean, I guess people aren't really mining in San Francisco. Electricity probably costs an arm and a leg there. But some
Right.
big city banned it, or a state banned it or something, but some little butthole city in New York, like, who cares? I also think just yesterday, I think there was another story about some city in Oregon banned mining also, but I think it's also kind of a small city, or at least they're holding a hearing on its Bitcoin mining ban. Oh, here it is. When Wenatchee, Oregon, the Wenatchee City Council banned at-home cryptocurrency mining for 1 year, so staff could better understand how to regulate the practice. So maybe it's a trend that's starting, but honestly, who cares?
Yeah. Well, that's true. Bitcoin doesn't really care, but it is rough to realize that we've been saying this for years. Like, you can't really control Bitcoin, but you can convince the people, the users, to do X, Y, or Z. The government has a ton of power over our minds, and it's rough to see them having this power. Even though Bitcoin really doesn't care, it sucks that they can influence it in this way.
Well, I mean, it's
But
just
yeah,
bad for them. It's not like, especially at this small of an amount, it's not really going to affect Bitcoin. But I'm guessing because, like, I'm reading
well,
through the
it's small
motherboard.
now, but why shouldn't most of America do the same?
Well, because I think a
Yeah, it goes
decent amount
to
of
like
people. What?
well, I could totally see, like, if as Bitcoin keeps, like, I mean, I would say right now the United States government and most state governments have sort of taken a friendly position towards Bitcoin, but in the future, maybe not so much, and banning mining would be a huge thing, or at least only letting people who you know are sort of on your side, on the side of the government, mine, like exactly what's going on in Venezuela right now. And it's sort of, maybe these two cities and maybe a couple others are the first of a problem that some people tweeted they think Satoshi didn't really foresee. That sure, the network's secure, but all these electricity costs from how centralized and expensive and difficult the mining process and algorithm has become make miners incredibly obvious and vulnerable. So sure, the network in theory is secure, but if you want to mine and create Bitcoin while validating transactions and securing the network, you're putting a massive bullseye on your back in the form of massive electricity usage. So
Yeah,
I mean,
that
I
is
don't really know.
that
I don't know how to solve
that
that
is the
problem, but it's a
reason
huge problem.
that they quoted was that, yeah, it's electricity. That's why they're doing it, because somewhere in this article they were saying that they have the cheapest electricity in the world, or at least close to it, and they were using it, of course, obviously, and that caused a problem because then there was a shortage, and then there was a surcharge because of the shortage, and that surcharge got distributed among all the residents. Now this is where that bigger philosophical political conversation about any kind of, how do you regulate utilities, or do you regulate utilities, and the old my roads, I need my roads because there's only one place to build a road, sort of. And the same thing with utilities. It's like, well, it just makes sense. Oh, this is what they would say. Oh, it just makes sense that, one company serves this entire area, and so we have to regulate their monopoly, stuff like that. And that's exactly what's going on here. The power company has a monopoly. They have cheap power, and that's great, but they have presumably a regulated monopoly where they have to set the prices so that they don't just charge out the wazoo. I don't know if it's government operated. I don't know if it's a government operated power station or just a regulated company, but whatever. So that's what makes this possible, because they're regulating the prices and manipulating the prices and all that crap. And then because the residents themselves have some influence over the price, they can go to this town council and say stuff. Then all this banning goes down and price changes, because the residents obviously are going to vote to ban it. They don't care if they can mine. They just want to have cheaper power, the majority of them.
Yeah.
So
Well,
anyway,
that's kind of what I was saying about it. Like, as far as this, I think, and partly this was just me being going to be biased towards anyone from upstate New York, but I was just looking it up. Their biggest thing is just there's a fucking university there, so they just get grants from that. Against the mining was that a restaurant employs more people than a miner. Yeah, because they pay them $2 an hour, you fucks. But I think the rest of you won't normally catch me saying this, but I think the rest of America will generally figure out that this could maybe bring in a little bit more positive things. Like if you do have miners, if you can somehow use that to bring in money to your city. But I think they're probably protective. They don't really care. They're getting enough stuff from the university. I was also looking at their top employers. Like the top 3 are like Walmart, the university, the city, and then some other kind of okay. It's a CVPH Medical Center, the State University, Clinton County Government, Walmart and Sam's Club, Advocacy Resource Center, the City of Plattsburgh, and then a lighting company. So I don't know. It's kind of like what Zach said. It's an asshole part of town. It's just some stupid little town. It's probably going to die and dry up. All you are just going to die. Bitcoin's still going to be alive. Bitcoin's going to get rid of all of you. Now, if there are any listeners there, send your Bitcoin out of there to us. Get it out before they ban holding Bitcoin as well. Make sure you get that in our safe hands. What were you going to say?
I'm still curious. You're probably more versed in economics than I am, Tim, especially liberty-oriented economics. No, all right, whatever. He's shaking his head. But you've read probably what Bastiat and people, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I never have. So there you go. But I want to know what, at least whether or not it's accurate, whether or not it would turn out correctly the way they say. I want to know what their answer is to this problem, like with utilities and roads, and that's obviously the people joke about that all the time. But like, why is this happening? And why can't we just have a free market for electricity? I think we can. I'm just asking how the argument goes between people that know better.
Well, I mean, for this is because the dam is a public thing. Like that's why they have such low cost and power. So
yeah, so wouldn't it be? You're right. It's a dam. It's a public thing. And what if one person owned that acre of river, and what if one person or one company ran the dam and just jacked up the prices? Is that a problem? How are the free market economists solving that?
People just wouldn't live in the city. Like people just wouldn't live in the city. People have the ability to vote with your feet, vote with whatever. Like you just leave. You say, fuck this, I'm going to go live someplace else if it really is that big of an issue.
Or come up with, even it might be, okay, so let's say,
we'll just come up with an alternative. Yeah.
Let's say that normal power costs 10 cents. I think that's probably per kilowatt hour or whatever, but it doesn't matter. Say normal power costs 10 cents. And then this dam comes in and it's a monopolized dam. So instead of making cheap power because it's a really efficient dam, it makes expensive power because it's a monopoly. So say this guy owns it and starts charging $1 for electricity instead of the normal 10 cents. Even then, another company could come in and start doing solar, or even, it's freaking New York, so they don't have a ton of solar, so it's going to be inefficient. But even then, he could start charging 50 cents, which is super inefficient. It's way more than 10 cents, but it's still, at least it puts pressure on the monopoly selling at 50 cents. I'm sure a lot of people would make an argument like that, right?
Yeah.
All you need is 2. Just 2 is enough for competition.
Yeah, and that isn't even necessarily to say that they won't necessarily jack up the price together. I don't really think of it normally that it's like people, part of the whole thing with being able to move around, and this I guess goes into freedom of expression, freedom of association, is you can move wherever the fuck you want. Like I get that people can say like, oh, you don't like taxes, go to Somalia. But there is something to that. It's just that Somalia isn't really any better. It's not a very good example of that. But you do have the ability to just leave a city, and you can say, well, my family's here and this and this and this. But you like the dictates of
farming this land for 14 generations.
Yeah, it's like, why do you want to stay that bad? The economics and then just like how people want to sell things and how people want to run things isn't beholden to your emotional attachment to anything. So it could just be this well, I want to run this energy, we're going to charge this much, and then the town just dries up like a ghost town and it just dies. That's
why are we okay with that? Shouldn't we do something about that? What about the children?
I don't care about the children. Tell them to walk. Get a license. They can't buy rifles anymore, but you can get a license.
Yeah, Zach, what's your hot take on free market and utilities, and how should that be dealt with?
I think, well, I mean, utilities.
Hold on, I got a quick question. Tim, are you getting the slightly robotic voice from him?
Yeah, I wasn't going to say anything because I've been trying to like hook my Ethernet cable up. I wasn't sure if it was on my end.
I was just asking because you always say it's me, and I was trying to figure out if it really is just me, which it might not be. But
I'm hearing, I'm hearing a little bit from the video's a little bit choppy.
Give me a second.
All right. In the meantime, I'm going to fill in Zach's opinion. He hates everybody in that town, and he thinks that he should charge them $50 for electricity and put a wall around them so they can't leave. And if anyone tries to ship electricity into that town, he's going to put a tariff on it, so it doesn't really make a difference, and they can't really ship it in. And what else is Trump trying to do?
Okay, how about now?
Yeah, I got you.
Am I better?
Maybe. You're fine. We can at least understand the words.
Okay. I don't know what how about this? You know?
Yeah, we got you.
All right. Jeez. I don't know.
Sort of.
I'll just listen tonight. I'll be your silent co-host.
Just wait.
All right, this will be just. I want to get a sentence or two in. I really want to know.
I don't think utilities are a free market. I just think I'm scared that the government will realize eventually, maybe they already have realized, they can just say, sure, you can use Bitcoin for whatever you want. You don't even have to pay taxes on it, but mining is illegal everywhere. And then what do we do?
Yeah, and that's so, like I said a second ago, that's scary because as much as we love Bitcoin, as much freedom as it enables, they can still just say that, and we're all going to do it. And it sucks. I don't know what the solution is. Maybe another revolution, maybe not violent, but some sort of technology that adds to Bitcoin and makes it even more freer and even more private and even less dependent on mining or electricity or whatever. I don't know if there could be any other answer than to just innovate more, innovate your way to freedom even more. And I love Bitcoin. I hope it hangs around. I know it technically can, even if they ban mining. I'm sure there are going to be plenty of people doing it anyway, and there'll be people in other countries that do it anyway. I'm sure it'll survive. It'll just detract from it, and it sucks that they can detract from it. And because we love Bitcoin, and we there's a lot of aspects about it that prevent that kind of government intervention, but we're still sheeple. So I don't know. What's your solution, Tim? How do you get by?
You build your own dam, I guess. Do solar.
Build your own damn dam.
Yeah. Do solar with the lack of light you have. How do you actually? I'd probably just associate with other people who don't dislike it and aren't so dependent on a local university and its grants, bringing in a bunch of fucking college kids to.
Well, speaking of grants, that same issue is a serious risk here. I think similar to grants, where if they only banned it for like 18 months to say they wanted to say we just want to research it more, figure out how we should do this. And the big concern would be that they would, after those 18 months, they would say, they might try to freaking not nationalize, but publicize. They might try to make the mining a public operation, or they might they might say, just like we've seen, we're going to get to this later. We've seen this with the big tech giants like Facebook and Google, and Elon Musk gets a ton of subsidies. What if that happens with mining there? What if they legalize it, but they subsidize it and publicize it? Like, that's scary AF. It's same thing with those grants. They and all of colleges and education, they just throw a bunch of their own money at it and have a frick ton of control over it. What if they try to do that with Bitcoin mining? Is that a concern? Like, I think they could.
Yeah, it could be, but I mean that's already probably an issue. I mean, not that that's a good answer for why you shouldn't worry about it in the future, but I mean, we already have most likely controlled mining in like all over China.
Yeah.
I'm not. That's also what I was meaning whenever I said the thing about this not affecting it. I'd be way more concerned if it was another thing with the Chinese government saying something, not just some random Plattsburgh, which I keep looking at and thinking it's Pittsburgh every time I look at the word. So fuck you. But I don't think it's that huge of an issue. I don't think that we have to worry about Plattsburgh changing anything in our space, in our lives anytime soon. I can see going after Bitcoin for other things, but this seems like literally just this costs too much. I don't like this. Why are we? Oh, I have to pay my actual fair. I was about to say fair share. I said I have to actually pay electricity bills like the rest of the country. What is this bullshit now? I'm used to having completely subsidized electricity because
the price is going to go up if people want it more. Screw that. Yeah.
Wait, other people are using my electricity? My daddy's been here for 50 years. He built that dam as part of FDR's New World Order age group, whatever the fuck it was.
New World Order age group.
Yeah, New World Order business camps. So yeah, I could see Bitcoin going under more for stuff like I don't see this argument working on people in bigger cities and cities.
Could you see it going under for kiddie porn?
What, Bitcoin? No, I think they've tried that enough times and enough people go, hey, it's just on the internet. Maybe that headline, like the thing about it just like being in the blockchain, that could freak some people out.
Yeah.
But that's never stopped us from using the dollar. I mean, the dollar has plenty of little kids' violated bodies on it. I don't know how to say that. But yeah, there's plenty of stuff. We've never had any problem with the internet in the past. Everyone still eats Subway. We get regularly fast track pedophiles in higher parts of the government. We put them in prison for like 12 months, and it's long enough for no one to give a shit later. So nobody actually cares about kids that much. Same thing with like kids and old people. Society doesn't really give a shit as a whole. That's why you have all the like people getting beat in nursing homes, and then plenty like kids getting, I mean, besides just parents beating their kids and disciplining their kids like that, then you also have like molestations and other kind, like kids that don't have parents and stuff like that, but society doesn't give a fuck about them.
Yeah, I didn't really plan this, but these are two pretty negative stories about Bitcoin that we're covering here. Well, it depends on your perspective. I guess that's what we're talking about. Tim's not that concerned about him. I might be a little more. I don't know why I'm on this little sheeple kick, but I've been for a couple episodes recently, I've been expressing concern about how we are just sheeple and we all just do what they say and it sucks. But yeah, so anyway, I'll just roll with this segue now that we're on to the next topic here. And yeah, kiddie porn on the blockchain. Now, to clarify, for the most part, I believe it's just links. I think I read one story where they found an image that might be a miner, but they weren't sure. And the first thing I got to say here, I hate that I have to say this, and it's just like racism or whatever else. but because just putting the word kiddie porn in my show notes, for all probably YouTube's gonna block me or something. I don't know, but just for gosh, it's so dumb. But to clarify, we are not for this at all. Even as we start to argue, which we might, we should argue that it shouldn't be illegal to have the blockchain because it's a completely different purpose and we didn't put it there and stuff like that. We're going to argue that maybe, but that by no means means we should be keeping kiddie porn on our computer. So gotta say it, because I don't know, the way I look, some people might think I'm a pedophile or something. I don't know.
The way you look, you mean? Ha ha ha.
Yeah, anyway.
It was a
This
joke.
story in particular, there were plenty of stories about it, but this one in particular is from Science Alert. And I will share my screen again for this one because the cover image made me laugh. It's just some guy wearing glasses with a computer reflection in them. It's like, really? Like, you had to have that image, like, suggesting that he's looking at the computer with the kiddie porn on it? That's weird, but whatever.
He's looking at some graph kiddie porn.
Yeah, yeah. Anyway,
he's looking at the stock markets, how it's dropping.
probably. Science Alert, written by Peter Dockrell. And just for the sake of getting some facts out there, like I said, it is mostly links. Yes, you can store non-financial data is the term they kept using. You can store non-financial data in the blockchain. The miners would be the ones that put it there. No, I guess not. I believe any transaction could have arbitrary data. But the miners could add data. That's what the famous line from the Genesis block, the first block ever, Satoshi put in some headline from the newspaper that day, which said something like banks on the brink of another bailout or something like that. So yes, you can put whatever the crap you want into a block or into a transaction. And it is arbitrary data. That's the other term they keep using. And those zeros and ones, those numbers, could represent an image. That's how images work. I'm sure a lot of people know this, but in case you don't, when you look at an image on your computer, all of that boils down to zeros and ones. You know, the first pixel, the first color of the first square on the top left corner of the image, number 1 or 0 if you're most computers start with 0, but it's just a number. It's a color, which is also just a number. It's, you know, a certain value of red, a certain value of green, and a certain value of blue all mixed together in that pixel. So that's out of the way. That's how they're doing it. Or that's if they're even images. Yes, you could put images in the blockchain, but apparently the majority here is links to the dark web. So anyway, that's the facts. They're there. Some firm found them. And I guess the next question I want to know is, I know obviously we're not attorneys or lawyers or anything. Zach's close. Zach's getting there. But do you think, yeah, we'll get Zach on again, whatever about the audio. Do you think that
is it awful?
It's a little quiet still, and just it's not choppy. It's just that robotic voice that I used to get from Tim. I don't know. It's weird.
I infected your computer, Zach. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I guess.
I had to pass it on like a curse.
But hey, yeah, since you're the closest to a lawyer that we have here, Zach, I want to know your opinion just on whether this is technically illegal. Obviously, you don't know the law, the specific laws, but do you think it would be technically illegal to have? Because I've seen arguments that, like, well, it's not an image, it's just a number, and it's not an image until you decode it with a browser or Photoshop or Windows Image Viewer or whatever the heck it is. It's not an image until you decode it into an image. It's just a number. So any thoughts, Zach, on whether you think this would be technically illegal to have the blockchain?
Yeah, sorry about this audio. I'm trying to adjust things and fix it. I don't know what's going on. But no, I don't think so, especially for the URLs, because I know minor, as little as I understand property law, you're allowed to share URLs and links and that sort of thing to someone else's property as much as you want. Like that was something set down early on in the age of hyperlinks and hypertext and early intranets and all of that. The content creator controls the content, but they create a URL that you can link to and distribute as much as you want. And it doesn't mean you're in possession distributing their property. It just means you're sharing the way to access their property. Like there's legal distinction there. So the fact that it's just URLs means if you run a full node and you contain a whole copy of the blockchain, you're not in possession of child porn. You just have a link to it. So yeah.
Well, that's a good start. Yeah, I mean that helps a lot. And then if you follow that, even if it was an image, and even if it was considered an image instead of a number, my guess would be that the next argument that people would bring up is, that's absolutely not the purpose of it. I'm absolutely not decoding it. It's just I'm using it for totally other purposes. And here's an example of why that might work. I don't know much about law, but why that might work in court. You could have on your computer that exact same number for any other purpose. You could have an email that happens to have that same number. I mean, it's a huge number and it's extremely unlikely, but it could happen. It literally is just a number, and that number it could be decoded as text, and that maybe the string "I love ice cream" happens to come from the same number that image, because you decode them in different ways, and it's the same number. It's the exact same zeros and ones that would be stored on your hard drive. That's a super simple example, and it's extremely unlikely. But the point is, that number can mean different things depending on how you decode it, how you interpret it. And so the argument would go that it's absolutely not an image. It's the blockchain, it's transactions, and I am absolutely not using it for that purpose. That could be an argument, but I don't know any of the laws. I don't know what they say. I don't know how they work. I don't know any of the cases. So don't take me too seriously at all there. It's just a thought.
I mean, I'll switch over a little bit and say that, yeah, they could definitely do that. This kind of stuff, I think, especially with anything having to do with kids or just any group that they seem to almost like kind of, we care about them a lot now, but not with this. Like they can probably take you and grab somebody if they really want to. Most likely, if they have another reason to. They probably aren't going to do it to a regular person they don't really care about, or see and I heard this advice on a different podcast this week, and it's get rich enough that you can buy yourself out of anything, because that you can do that. So you just need to be a CEO or send Daniel a bunch of money, and then he'll start an ICO for all you guys and run everything. But the more that you talk about it, the more that I could see them using something like this to, if not just smear Bitcoin, then to at least specifically target specific people, or
There is a YouTuber. I'm pretty sure he's from like the UK or whatever. I'm also pretty sure he works for a public station like PBS, the equivalent or whatever. I'm trying to find him. I don't know if I'll succeed, but if I do, I'll drop a link in the chat or in the show notes. But he just does math videos, random kind of entertaining stuff about how, the number 0 and how it works, and the number infinity, and what happens if you make an elliptical pool table. Just random stuff like that. But he did an episode on exactly how an image decode. It's just a spreadsheet, actually. That was his big example. He had an actual Excel spreadsheet where literally filled with just numbers. And then he had conditional formatting where based on the number, the cell would get a color. And then in Excel, he zoomed out really far, and you could see that it was an image, and you could see it was a picture of him or whatever. I have no idea. Here it is, number file with a PHILE, number file. And again, I'll look for the video when I get a chance. But if anyone cares, to just explain how that works. I want to, before we get too far along and forget here, I want to give a hello, a shout out, and a thank you, and a what's up to Mr. Bandito Burrito in the chat. Thanks for joining us. He says that Zach was also robotic, so I guess it wasn't just me. So screw you, Tim, for saying that all the time. But whatever.
I said for me.
Did you do anything about it, Tim? I don't know. Did you install a new driver or something?
No, I never changed anything. Like I bought the new mic, or yeah, and then it happened afterwards, and then you just haven't complained about it recently.
Yeah, whatever. Zach's usually fine. Maybe it's just a reboot, and we'll be fine next week. But Mr. Burrito also says, dropping back to the issue about electricity, he says it seems the issue here was the subsidized dam. Tax money was used to build it. Guess private companies didn't see the opportunity for profits. So I totally agree. Subsidized dam, going to cause problems. We also got Mr. J. Remy Bennett. Thanks for joining us. He says, good job, guys. I've thought about this a lot. Weird stuff, man. So, yeah, weird stuff. Totally weird stuff. A lot to think about. If you're not in the chat yet, make sure you get to meandbtc.com/live. If you have any questions, just drop them there and we'll get to them. It'll be fun. Okay. Zach is chatting with us so we can get his point across. He says, reporn. Can't you just run partial copies of the blockchain sufficiently long to verify transactions, but short enough to not have child porn? There's a couple options there. I mean, on your phone, you have a simple SPV wallet, which doesn't store the blockchain. It just talks to other computers that do store the blockchain. That's a step in the right direction, but somebody still has to store the blockchain. Another thing you could do is called blockchain pruning, and this might be more what you're referring to. That's where if you are a full node, you can instruct your client only to keep, say, the past year's worth of blocks. And anything before that, it's been in the blockchain forever. I totally trust it, and it's gone. I don't need it. I only have so much space, so I'm only going to keep a year's worth of blocks. That can be configured per client. Every miner can decide how many blocks they want to keep, depending on how much space they have and stuff. Couple issues. One thing is that even if you're only keeping the past year's worth of blocks, you still have to start at the beginning. If you really want to trust that your node is working and that transactions are trustworthy and that there's only so many Bitcoins, the only way you can truly verify that is by starting at the beginning and one by one going through them all and verifying them. So at some point in there, you're going to have to store it, even if it's just for a split second, even if you only keep one block at a time, which also would erode all the trust because, you're eliminating almost all the blockchain. You're only looking at one block at a time. You're not really accomplishing much, or you can't be as sure that the transactions are valid and coming from real coins and all that kind of stuff. But even then, again, if you're only keeping one block, you're still at some point in the verification process, you're going to have the one that might have porn in it. You could argue that, well, what if I just skip blocks and just trust? Like what if I didn't start at the beginning and just trusted that after block 10 million, it's good? I mean, yeah, you could do that, but again, that erodes a big point of Bitcoin where you don't have to trust. But if you're picking a random block and saying, all right, whatever, sure, from here on I'm good, that's a level of trust there. And it gets better the farther back you go. That's why you can prune. You can go back a year and say, all right, I'm fine. But in general, that's still a drawback. That still erodes trust. And you gotta deal with that. And the other thing is, Again, like even with pruning, you still have blocks coming in and out all day long. You're talking to the network. You still have transactions coming in and out all day long. Whether or not they get confirmed, they might have data in them that might be kiddie porn. And that's what a node does. It talks to the network, and the network could send whatever. So it theoretically, I believe the law is just possession and you're screwed. So it doesn't matter how you got it. If it's on your computer, you're pretty screwed. So, okay. That's my guess. I want to take a quick break here, roll my commercial, and we'll get back and have some fun bashing Facebook. It'll be a good time. And I don't know. I guess Tim already muted himself. Way ahead of me. I'm also going to turn on my screen share here one more time so that you can see this beautiful landing page for our beautiful sponsor. We'll be back in a moment. Hey guys, today's show is brought to you by Chronologic.network. Chronologic is an Ethereum-based project that aims to solve time-related problems on the blockchain. Through Chronologic's 3 core products, the Ethereum alarm clock, debt smart contracts, and the day token minting mechanism, they solve the problems of payment scheduling, crypto loan time constraints, and unstable token launches. Find out more at Chronologic.network. Huge thanks to them for having our back. Helps a lot. They make this possible. Okay, Tim, what do you know about Facebook? Have you followed any of this?
Yeah, actually, mostly just because you and I were talking about it before. Whenever I was just with you this morning, we didn't talk about this morning, but we talked about this past week.
Wait, I don't actually remember that. When did we talk about it?
No, I guess we didn't actually talk about the whole thing.
Maybe you.
Yeah, we just talked about.
I don't know. It might have come up.
No, I'm sorry. We just talked about them selling off stock and.
Oh, right. I do remember that. Yeah.
I haven't followed up with it too much. I mean, I've thought that I anytime stories like this come out, I'm like, I thought this already came out like 4 years ago. I already thought this shit was already this isn't that surprising. Follow widespread questions.
Hey, before I forget, and before you get too far into it, I'll ask you again in a second what you know about it. But just since I found it and I'm thinking of it, I'm going to share this link. I'll drop it in the chat at least and in the show notes if I remember. This is the spreadsheet image video. And it's actually it's by Stand Up Maths. It's maths plural because that's how they say it over there. But whatever, Stand Up Maths, which I think is the same guy from Numberphile. But anyway, I'm dropping it in the chat. Go ahead, Tim. What do you know about Facebook?
I mean, they very not openly, but I mean, they have been doing this for a while. They've been giving out information on people. They've been mining information. This is just that it's more of it's getting leaked than they thought, or like I don't get what's different about this. Music camera. Okay, yeah, you tell me.
The big story in this case is a firm that kind of, yes, Facebook always had this data and people could always use it in certain ways. But the big story here is that there was a company that had it that shouldn't have, and they said they got rid of it and they didn't. And one of the ways they got so much data was because it used to be that on Facebook, an app, any old app, a developer, anyone can go on Facebook and make an app that, that links up to someone's account and might fetch their birthday and their email address for different purposes. It might fetch their friends, it might fetch their location. Any developer can hook into Facebook. The user has to approve it, of course. They have to go to this app, click log in, and say, yes, I give this app permission to access my name and my email or whatever. But anyone can do that. The issue is that it used to be that they could get access to your friends' data through your permission. And that it wasn't like a hack or anything. That was just the way it was. You could give permission for an app to use your friend's data. And so this company, they only had like 300,000 people sign up for their app. But when you stretch out to their friends, that was millions of people's data that they just captured and stored. And the theory, the story, the issue might be that they used it to do advertising for the election and influence the election. So obviously everything comes back to Trump. That's what they're saying could be the concern, is that they used the friends data feature, and they said they got rid of all this data later on, but they didn't really. And then they influence the election or whatever they may or may not have done. So my first take, like I said in the show notes, is just like, well, that's what Facebook does. That's what they're made for. But I don't know, Tim, does it surprise you? Is it more than you expected, less than you expected? Do you think they actually misused it and influenced the election? Any thoughts?
Yeah, probably. I don't like. I think people expect other people in positions of power not to take advantage of things, and not even just people in positions of power, but people who have access to things, to not just take them and not just use them, especially if you can convince yourself
Hold
that
on. You're the one who is just saying that you're not worried about Plattsburgh because whatever. But that's why I'm concerned, because they have that power, and I see no reason that they wouldn't use it to outlaw whatever the heck they want.
because I was saying Plattsburgh's so like just a small little town.
Yeah, but okay, fine. The government, they have a frick ton of power. Obviously, we know that. Why would they not use it and abuse it to take away mining? The federal government.
Because it doesn't earn them anything. Like, they can make more money off of just taxing it. That's the entire purpose of our entire modern world, is just to tax everybody instead of enslaving people. It's just a money making machine. But for if the information is stolen, or if how it was taken, no, it doesn't really surprise me. Was it used for the election? Probably. If somebody had information, if you had information and you wanted to help somebody win, you'd probably give it to them.
Yeah, one of the arguments, or a couple arguments I've seen, is, first of all, they influence the election. Of course they did. That's what they do every time they give a speech. They try to influence the election. Everyone's all like warped up about influencing the election, but yeah, they're trying to win. That's what a campaign is. So that's the first.
Why are you trying to do? No, yeah, it's just there's like, how could you even possibly think to be doing this? And it's like, well, this is what we've been doing since it got started. Like, of course, we're going to use everything that we're capable of, including things that are illegal, because until you get caught, it's not illegal. It's not against the rules until somebody comes and says, yeah, no, you did this wrong and you can't do it anymore.
Yeah, exactly. The other argument that I've heard made, which is pretty legit, is that, well, okay, sure, they shouldn't have had the data. They kind of got it and stored it when they shouldn't have, and kept it when they shouldn't have. So that's a problem. But the fact that they're using this data, like Facebook, we've done multiple episodes on this. I actually looked up the number for one of my favorites. It's episode 130. So you, me, and btc.com/E130 will get you there. And yeah, we touched on like the argument I read in an article or two, like, they do this to sell diapers. They do this to sell cereal. That's what Facebook is for. They know what kind of bank account you have. They know what kind of car you drive. They know what kind of phone you use. They know where you live. They know where your significant other lives, which is why they know I'm in a long distance relationship. They know everything about you. And so check out that episode. We go through some of the stuff that they know about you and how anyone has access to it. The reason we did the episode on it was because I was looking into Facebook advertising and I could have done it. Now, it's not supposed to be personally identifiable. I can't advertise to a specific person. I can only advertise to people that spend a lot of money on granola bars or stuff like that. And so that helps. And this situation is a little different. This situation doesn't quite have to do with advertising on Facebook. It's the fact that they mined all that data from Facebook users, and then who knows what they could have used it on other platforms. If they have your email address and your list of interests on Facebook, that's a pretty good start. And they, they might have your location. So then on other platforms, they could target you based on your email address and say, I want to show this ad to you on other ad networks. Even though it's Facebook's data, they were able to manipulate it and get it to all kinds of platforms, presumably. I don't have any evidence, or I don't know, but that's the worry. That's the fear. So, but yeah, what about that one, Tim, where that's just, of course, that's what they do. They sell diapers with this too. Like,
yeah, I mean,
what did you expect?
This is what, like, millions of kids, like the kids who do have jobs coming out of college, this is what they do. And this is this is a huge thing for money making. That was a dumb way of putting it, but like, it's not $1 billion, and maybe it is $1 billion. I don't know the numbers.
Oh,
but
yeah.
Billions. This is
billions.
This is advertising in our day and age. We don't, most of the time, you don't reach people on TV. You don't run these commercials for, you don't have these commercials trying to get little kids to bother their parents to go buy something. You put something in their Facebook and they go, oh, mommy, I saw that now there's this whatever band is coming to town. We have to buy $5,000 tickets to go see them. And then all this shit. So yeah, if there's money to be made like that, no, people are not going to stop it. And if they try, most people are going to go against it, because you can just, well, you're trying to take down the economy. Now, this is the only thing we can do, is just run ads for everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And ruin the election for all of us. It's going to be fun. You guys ruined it.
It's going to be so much better this year.
Yeah, so guys, go to our website and search for Facebook and have some fun. Like I said, a couple episodes where we went through what kind of stuff you can target and some issues that they were having. I'm showing that we're close to a wrap here. Just a few minutes left. So that means you know what time it is. Ding, ding, ding. Advice of the week. So we'll see what we got for you. The three main stories, which the advice may or may not be related to, were the Bitcoin mining ban in Plattsburgh, New York, the kiddie porn links on the blockchain that a lot of people might be storing on their computers, which could be illegal, maybe, or Facebook's misuse of data and the fact that they let people take it and keep it and whatever, abuse it. So I don't know. Any advice for us, guys? I guess for me, the theme, the thing I mentioned a few times was that, especially with the first two stories, they're kind of negative Bitcoin stories. Bitcoin banned, and Bitcoin has illegal stuff on it. That's scary. That's scary, which I said in the show. Yeah, that we're sheeple. We're sheeple. We just go along with their laws, no matter how much we hate them. We do. And I guess my advice would be to just, even though I feel that way, I don't think I should. I don't think you should. I think we should try not to be scared. Not about, it's still a problem. We shouldn't just ignore it. We shouldn't just say everything's okay. I think, did we mention complacency on the episode we just did with you, Tim? Tim's 2 cents? I think we did.
I think it had to.
Yeah. We talked about how the balance between everything being okay and everything being okay. Because everything's not okay, but you still want to feel comfortable, and that's still fairly possible to do. So that's my advice, is try not to be too worried. Try to understand what's going on and overcome it if you can, I guess. Any advice, guys? If you want to share it in the chat, Zach, you can. Or I don't care if you want to just say it too. I don't care.
Zach feels sad. He's sad. Everybody send money to me.
My mic sounds like shit. My advice is delete your Facebook and buy Bitcoin.
Oh, good one.
Because we're going to the moon now, testing that 9,000 resistance.
Good call and good call. Delete Facebook and buy Bitcoin.
Just delete your computer. Have your Bitcoin on a paper wallet, so then if they say it's kiddie porn, then you can say that it's just too old to be. You can't distribute it.
Well, what if your private key happens to match some nude little person image?
Nude little person. What if my don't spend those like if you somehow figure that out, give it to somebody you know. Pass it on.
Give
to
it to someone you hate.
Pass it on like you would like counterfeit bills. Like try to give it off to like Coinbase or somebody. Try to sell it on there first. And then, excuse me, FBI, I've found something in Mount. I just sent some money to Mark Harpelli's in his defense fund. He has certain things in his possession right now. Actual advice. Yeah, buy some Bitcoin. Don't worry about people in Plattsburgh and
move to Somalia.
Yeah, move to Somalia and make Zach get a better mic. I don't know.
Well, I don't know. But that mic is it's like an industry standard. Like everyone that does anything with music or even podcasting knows about that mic. And you both have the same setup. So I don't know.
We'll just need to reboot my PC maybe.
Yeah, that could be it. Could be it. Guys, it's been a huge blast. Thank you so much for joining you. Anyone listening live, thanks for being here. Thanks for jumping in the chat. If you're not listening live, what the heck are you doing? Come back next Thursday, 9 to 10 p.m. Eastern at youmeandbtc.com/live. If you want to get to this episode in particular with these show notes, I did end up getting that YouTube video in there. The way you can get to a specific episode would be youmeandbtc.com/E234. I am hoping to have a special guest next week. I am working on the schedule, but we will try to make it happen. So make sure you're around. Look out for Tim's 2 cents on Monday. We put his last episode on YouTube, but I've been incredibly busy. And so I still, hopefully tonight, have to get the podcast version posted and stuff. And be watching for Zach's The Coin Pod on Tuesday. He'll do an interview and it'll be a blast. So that's our show, guys. That's our network. Now you know a bit about us. If you're new, thanks for joining us. We'll catch you next Thursday. And in the meantime, find everything you need at youmeandbtc.com. Love you guys. Bye.
Bye.